Welcome to our first podcast of What the Hell Do You Do? I'm your host, Scott Shannon with Cross Country Mortgage, and I'm sitting here today with the lovely, honorable, amazing Jessica Short from Coldwell Banker Inverness and Coldwell Banker Investors Realty, actually. And so we're going to go over all sorts of fun stuff with Jessica today. We just want to make it a light conversation and just talk about the industries that we're in and go from there. So Jessica, let's take it away. Tell us, what the hell do you do, Jessica?
I'm a real estate agent here in Citrus County. Our office is based in Inverness, Florida. I've been in this now for about 6 years. It's something that I've grown to absolutely love and have a passion for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And did you grow up in this area?
I did. Born and raised in Citrus County.
Nice.
Actually right here in Inverness, went to all the local schools here. And now my husband, also from here, our children are going to school here. It's an amazing place.
Very cool. So give me some crazy fun fact about yourself that I don't already know.
Well, if you follow me on social media, you might know this, but total animal lover. I've got goats and a donkey. They are my hobby, I guess.
Okay.
Taking care of them.
What are their names?
Donkey.
Donkey.
Yep.
Okay,
like
donkey is
Shrek.
donkey, like
Yeah.
Shrek. Okay.
And then there's Frank and Candy Cane are the goats.
Okay, very cool.
And then we've got a pig named Reba.
Nice.
Because she's fancy.
She's fancy. Fancy pig.
Yeah.
I love it. Very cool. So Jessica, tell me something about your real estate journey that people don't understand or misconceive about realtors in general.
I think the biggest thing is actually I got a comment from somebody I contacted earlier this week as a cold call. I'm not going to pay you to answer one phone call and show my house one time. That's a waste of money, you loser, is what I got from it.
Really?
Yes.
This person said this to you?
Yes, literally. I have the text message.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
That's what they said to me.
All right.
Because it was a cold call. People don't like cold calling, cold texting, but
Sure.
Sometimes it's part of the business, especially the market now, how it is,
Yeah.
trying to get leads and whatnot.
We're grinding again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy, everybody.
No.
It's hard to make a living in this business.
Yeah. It's definitely becoming a little bit more challenging, but it's all part of it. But yeah, I think the most misconceived things about agents is that we don't just make one phone call. We don't just show your house one time. If you take an actual transaction, a 30-day, 35-day transaction, and you divide that into the work hours, I mean, in a lot of cases, it's less than a minimum wage job, And I think that people don't really understand what goes into it.
Yep. Not to mention too, like a lot of people don't understand, like when there's a commissions, right? Just like anything, there's splits involved, right? Yep. So it's not like there might be 3% commissions, but there's money that's got to go to the brokerage and money that's got to go to this and money that's got to go to marketing your house and all these other things, right? Yep. And so when it all comes down to it, I think the average agent is lucky to get half actually of the total commission, if not less than that in many cases, right?
Yep. And I mean, by the time you do, take your taxes out, all of that, it's, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it looks good, in the scheme of things, but then, the end of it is what really matters, I guess.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you a fun personal question, though.
Sure.
When somebody asks you what's your favorite thing to do at a party, what's the answer?
Yeah, I mean, can we be informal?
We can be very informal. That's the whole point. Nobody wants to watch us be boring.
Sure. So at a party, I guess it would be keg stands.
Keg stands. I love it. She's a keg stander, everyone. You heard that first. So she's going to do a keg stand every time you buy a house from her.
No promises there. No, just turned 31. I can't promise that anymore.
Oh, trust me, I know. At 45, like if I have a hard weekend, I feel it for the next 2 weeks. It's not, my body doesn't react the way it used to. What would you say is the most unexpected part about your job in general?
Everything. Every day is different.
Yeah.
You never know what phone call you're going to get from the lender or insurance or an inspector. You can't expect anything.
Right. Always playing defense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always. And sometimes it's very smooth and it's great and everything is perfect, but I really think nothing is expected.
Nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Don't expect ever that anything's going to go smoothly. And actually, when you don't expect that and it does, then you're like, yay.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love it. All right. So finish this sentence for me. I may do blank, but deep down, I'm really a blank.
I may do real estate,
Mm-hmm.
but deep down, I am a, I guess a traveler is what that's what I would
Okay.
love to do. I am a mom, I'm all those things,
Right.
but I would love to be able to do that with my family though.
I love it.
Great.
All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about your origin story and maybe a couple oh shit moments where you're like, oh, I didn't realize this, or ooh, I screwed up. You know what I mean? These are the fun stuff, right? So, how did you get here? Like, what brought you into the industry? What has gone sideways that you'd never expected to, and how did you push through it? So, let's start first with what got you into this industry in general.
So when I was fresh out of high school, I went to the local community college here for criminal justice.
Okay.
Ended up in WTC's Law Enforcement and Corrections Academies.
Okay.
Graduated law enforcement, cross over to corrections. That was my plan. I was going into law enforcement, criminal justice.
Yeah.
Ended up getting married, got pregnant with my son, decided, that's not where I wanted to be as a mom. I wanted to be with him more often than what the schedule would allow. Went a couple different jobs. One day I decided, hey, real estate seems like a flexible job. I could kind of make my own
Little
hours.
did you know.
So I just went for it, did the course, and went and took my state test. I had an amazing mentor at the beginning of real estate who talked me through a lot of it, because it did take me 3 times to pass my real estate test, the state test.
Okay.
It's not an easy test.
No. And it almost has nothing to do with what you do on a daily basis. It's
Yeah.
all the laws and all this stuff. It's like, if you do this, then you'll go to jail for this long. It's like, so don't do this,
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually my second time, you're supposed to get a 75 to pass. I got a 74.
Okay. Oh, man.
I sat in the parking lot. I called my mentor. I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it. She said, calm down, take a deep breath, go back the next day and take it. I went back the next day, passed it my 3rd time.
Good job.
Don't know what I got.
Yay.
Don't know how it went.
That's awesome. All right.
Yeah, so I wanted to do this so I could have a more flexible schedule. And it's flexible, but you work, all the time.
Yeah. Which, I mean, what I heard, I wouldn't say the biggest complaint, because it's not a complaint, but you're working when other people are off, right? Because they, if they're working 9 to 5 and they need to see a house at 6 o'clock, that's when you're showing a house. On the weekends and evenings and things like that, which you just adjust, right? So your free time's during the day, in the middle of the day, that's when you get your busy work done, right?
Yep. Yeah. And so, absolutely grateful for that. I don't complain about it at all. But same thing, with lenders. It's you work when you can work.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of like what went sideways, right? I guess a little bit. We kind of answered that question. Was there anything else that was just kind of like, whoa, I didn't expect, like, I got into the business, but I really just didn't expect that this was this hard, or that this would be whatever that is. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, I didn't realize that you have to know this much about that, or,
I think the biggest thing for me has been having to adjust to personalities, because every person that you work with is different.
Right.
So you have to kind of filter yourself to understand how they're feeling and how, how you should interact with them. And I guess it would be like an empath type thing.
Empathy,
You've got to be able to feel out everybody and see.
There's actually a sales term for it. It's called mirroring.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's called mirroring, and it's basically when you mirror back the personality of the person you're working with, and it takes a really diverse person to do it really well. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody's super concerned about everything, about their payment, it's all about budgeting, right? So you got to show just as much empathy and effort in that, so it's just like anything else. So what would you say, not just like what you do, but how you do it? Like, what do you feel like differentiates yourself? Like, when someone comes to you, like after a closing or after a successful transaction, what's the thing that people compliment the most about your service?
My dedication and my patience,
Okay.
by far.
Yeah.
I can say honestly, now that I've been doing this for 6 years, I've noticed myself, my patience that I have to deal with, like I said, so many different people, so many
Mm-hmm.
different personalities, and being able to stay calm throughout the transactions
Mm-hmm.
for the people who
Right.
are not calm.
Right.
This
Right.
is the biggest purchase of their life.
Right.
Being
Yeah.
able to walk them through it
Yeah.
and get to that finish line,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah. I've read studies that say that like people buying a house, or moving, any kind of move in general, whether it's like physically a house or a job or anything, those tend to be the most stressful times in most
Mm-hmm.
people's lives.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's a lot of times when we see them at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then after closing, like I've had some clients, tell me if you can relate to this, but I've had some clients that basically they were a nightmare the entire time. But the day after we close, they send us the biggest gift
Yeah.
basket and
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm sorry for being such an asshole. I
Mm-hmm.
know I was a total jerk to you the whole time, but you kept up on us, and
Yes.
thank you, thank you, thank you. It's like, what happened? Like we're like, who is this person, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
like,
I've had
yeah.
definitely been cussed out before.
Oh yeah.
Not off of, necessarily anything that I've done, but
Right.
just off of their feelings in
Right.
general.
Yeah.
But then contacted later on to work with them again
Mm-hmm.
because they appreciated
Yeah.
how, everything was dealt with.
That's
So,
awesome. Tell us a real story. Give me one of, and you don't say their names or anything like that,
mm-hmm.
but give us like a real client story that you dealt with. It can be something you overcame. It could be something that was just like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened, or whatever you want. And I know you got one because I've got 10 of them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So give me your number one that pops in your head immediately story about a client interaction, and whether you got all the way to closing or didn't get anywhere and they
Mm-hmm.
just wasted a ton of your time. Like, just
Yep.
tell me that one. So,
This one is something that I share so many times
mm-hmm.
because it was earlier on in my real estate career. I was still learning. I had some sellers who wanted to sell their home, and we went active, did all the marketing, did everything. I ended up getting a phone call through Facebook because I did a Facebook ad.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked on the phone. We did, voice calls, text messaging, emails, and she said, "I want to purchase this home cash." Okay, great. 30-day close, quick. It's perfect because
Yeah.
it was a decent sized home.
Yeah.
Like, it was great.
Almost too good to be true.
Exactly. Should have known it from the
Right.
beginning.
Yeah.
But so this case, I would have been working both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So we had all of the documentation done, everything that needed to be there,
Mm-hmm.
and 3 days for the escrow is when it was due.
Okay.
3 days goes by, no escrow. 4 days, 5 days. And I am contacting her saying, hey, we need the escrow deposit.
Right. Let's define escrow real quick. What's an escrow deposit?
So that's your good faith money. That's saying, hey, I'm willing to risk this money to purchase this home.
Right.
And she was putting a large amount in there from what our contract said. Well, she tells us my husband has had a heart attack, or then it was I'm in the hospital, and then so it was excuse after excuse, and I, back and forth with my seller. I'm not sure what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This lady, though, was playing on our heartstrings. Everything that we had was, this is going bad. It was at about 45 days, still no escrow. And I said, all right, we're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
Like, closing has been pushed. I mean, she was talking to the title company too. She was going all in.
So she's on the physical phone now.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Not just a Facebook call anymore.
No,
okay.
It's physical phone. We're talking.
Right.
I have her address. I have everything.
Right.
Just no money.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up telling me that I was attacking her because I told her we were going to have to cancel the sale. Mm-hmm. My husband has died. Now her husband has died.
Is any of that proven to be true?
So,
yeah, okay.
This is where it gets interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We do end up canceling the sale. My seller, unfortunately, took her home from the market. It was a very stressful situation.
Yeah.
I was very grateful for her patience. She was a family friend, is a family friend, and so it ended up, it was okay. As okay as it could be.
Right.
I get a phone call from another agent within a couple of days. Hey, this is so-and-so. I think we may be working with the same client.
Mm.
And this lady was also trying to purchase another home, doing the same exact thing. So me and this other agent send the state police for her state to her home. and say, hey, she's fraudulently doing these things.
Right.
The state police goes there. The husband is still alive. He answered the door.
Right.
The lady admitted to everything. I really just wanted these houses, but we don't have the money for them. It was insane.
So she's just like probably some kind of psychosis.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
it had
absolutely.
to be. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild.
It's insane. And that's not something that happens to everybody, but it happened. And it was a major learning experience for me because number one, always collect the good faith money. If you don't have it in a timely manner, it doesn't matter the situation. I'm sorry. It's time to back out.
Yep. I got a funny one I'll share with you, actually. All right. So about 15 years ago, I'm working, I won't say the name of the company, but I was working at one of the local real estate companies. So I used to go, including Coldwell Banker here, I would spend a day being the in-house loan officer at each office. All right. And so I was working at the one over one of the offices in Beverly Hills, and this couple walks in and they're like, I want to buy a house. And like, we're like, okay, cool. They look kind of rough. I'm not going to lie. They look pretty rough. Like they just came in off the road, like with no vehicle.
Yeah.
It was a man and a woman, and she was visibly pregnant. All right. And so, I do what I do for everybody. Okay, you want to get qualified? Cool. So I do in the loan application. We start name, address, or name. The second question is address, right? Get the address. He goes, well, that's kind of a weird situation right now. I'm like, well, what's weird about it? I'm like, where do you reside? What's your address? Well, my mom kicked me out of the house. We're living in a storage unit. And I go, like the pregnant woman with her. It's the middle of June in Ocala, in Citrus County, in summer in Florida. It's 98 degrees outside in a storage unit with no air conditioning. Okay. Wow. And I'm like, you're living in a storage unit? And he goes, yeah, we're living. It's just a temporary thing. He goes, I'm like with her, and she's visibly pregnant. She's probably like 6 months pregnant at least. Okay. And I go, that's not cool. It's 98 degrees out in the summer in Florida and she's pregnant. I'm like, she should be in a woman's shelter, first of all. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, so we get to the credit. Like, I couldn't even pull his credit because without an address, you can't pull credit.
Sure.
And so, long story short, like, there was basically nothing we could do for them. But it's amazing how some people are just like,
Yeah.
But 5 years prior, I probably could have gotten them a mortgage prior to the 2008 housing crash. Yeah. So I can't say it's too crazy because I've gotten crazier things done. But anyway, that's wild. All right, we kind of talked about that one story. I see a couple questions on here that I wanted to ask, but what would you say was a major aha moment or lucky break that you've had in the industry?
So I think one of the biggest things, transaction-wise, I had a home. We were just days away from closing. I was actually the seller's agent, and I walk in. I like to do my own final walkthrough on the seller side, along with the buyers, whatnot. I walked into this house and the ceiling was on the floor. The ceiling was the kitchen ceiling.
Is it 1 story or 2 story?
It was a 1 story.
1 story.
Yeah, 1 story modular home.
Oh, okay.
And there had been a leak that nobody was aware of.
Oh, big rain came through.
And the whole ceiling hit the floor. And I was like, we're days before closing.
Oh no.
We ended up getting a handyman in there that was able to fix things.
Wow.
Inspections were still okay. Everything went well, and we closed.
Wow.
But
that's wild.
The ceiling literally was on the floor.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was, I think, the biggest transaction lucky break.
Let's talk some money. So this is my own opinion on the mortgage world and the real estate industry. So we've got 2 stark differences, I think, throughout our market because we live in a very high retirement area. What percentage of the market would you say is still cash over here?
I mean, it's not a lot. It's
going down?
Yes.
It's going down?
Yes.
All right. Because I've heard some people say it's still about 50%. Just depends on where you're looking.
I mean, me personally, I have not seen a whole lot of it lately.
Okay. So your clients are more finance?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I love you, by the way. All right. Because I don't make any money unless people finance houses, right? And so the trends that I'm seeing right now is that what's slowing the market, especially in our area, is simply that it's an affordability crisis. So if we were to look at the 2 difference, a lot of people says, oh, it's going to be another 08. No, I don't think it's going to be another 08 quite level event because 08 was really more of a crash of bad lending, speculative buying. A lot of people who shouldn't have ever been able to buy a house or shouldn't have bought a house not only buying 1, but buying 3. You know what I mean? So that was 08. This one is like okay, we pushed prices so high over the last 4 years because of 2% rates and all the crazy stuff that happened during COVID, right? And then now all of a sudden we have a normalized interest rate, which a lot of people are like, oh, 7% so high. It's like, no, it's really not, right?
Yeah.
Over the last 20, 30 years, a 7% interest rate is actually below average. And so a lot of people don't realize that. What is the issue is the prices, which sucks, because I mean, I'll lose value, we'll all lose value, but in reality, we need to get back in line to where we have affordability again, right? And so what I'm seeing is that seller concessions are huge.
Yes,
it's almost every deal, right?
Every deal.
3 years ago, that would have been a curse word, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. What else are you seeing on your side of the equation that are getting people off the fence where it's like, oh, this does make sense, I should buy now?
So definitely turning to what I would assume is a buyer's market. When I came into this, it was in everybody's market. It was crazy.
Let's define a buyer's market real quick.
So concessions, prices we're able to negotiate instead of just sticking to the listing price. We're actually able to come to agreements and negotiations. So buyers have a little bit more power now than they did just a few years ago. But I think with like I had said before, the down payment assistance programs is what's making most sense for people right now. That's what's really helping get them into it, because we may have the credit, but we don't have all of the money. We are able to pay $2,000 a month for rent, so we can afford the mortgage
payment.
It's just getting that extra push in there.
Well, and don't forget too, all of Citrus County is USDA qualified, so that's 100% financing. So you don't even necessarily need a down payment. The dilemma with that program right now is that program needs to update their guidelines, or the market needs to slide, because they have a very strict debt ratio requirement. So you can't qualify for as much more money on that program as you can for others, like FHA or things like that. So that's why you don't see, like 10 years ago, I was doing every other loan was USDA. Super it was a great program. Now it's not that I use it. I would use it for everybody who can qualify for it, but lots of times they either make too much money because they're over the max that you're allowed to use on it, or their debt ratios are just too tight, so I have to use a different program. So one thing I will mention is that I believe it's July, we're expecting that Hometown Heroes will get money again. So what we're trying to do is actually line up people now, make sure they're qualified, get them, if they do have to work on stuff, we've got a 2-month runway right now to fix stuff, because when that money comes available again, it's going to be gone in like a month and a half. Okay, so if and when it comes available, they're saying July. I hope that's correct. But once it hits, it's going to get used up quick. So that's why the people who want to use it, we got to jump on it, get them in under contract, because we can't lock down that money for them until they're under contract. So it's going to have to go really fast.
And now the Hometown Heroes, just to specify, is not just for first responders and teachers anymore, right?
That's why it runs out of money so fast. Yeah, they open it up to the whole state. If you work at a brick and mortar employer in the state of Florida, you qualify. So basically, the people who don't qualify, it's easier to say than the ones who are. The people who don't are retired people, and people who, like, I had one guy who is an engineer for Apple, and he can live anywhere because he works from home. His main office is in San Francisco, so he could not use that program, for example. But if you work at just about anywhere that has an office in the state that you report to, you qualify.
And now what about, I think I heard something recently where if your spouse is a veteran and they're retired, then they should qualify.
Your spouse is a veteran.
Yes, if they're a vet.
Yes, they have some veteran. Yes, the veterans can do that. That's correct. Yeah. So retired veterans can use it, as well as current active military can use it too. But
even if you're not in a brick and mortar, that's Hometown Heroes is definitely one of my favorite programs. Used it last year quite a bit to get a few people into their first home.
Cool. Yeah. No, it is an awesome program. I wish the state thought it out a little bit more before they open it up to the world, because it runs out of money so quick. It's like you get a month and a half, a year, and then it's gone. So anyway, but all right, let's run into a couple of rapid fire questions. So what is the biggest lie you hear about getting a mortgage?
That you have to have the money up front to do it right now. I mean, because of the buyer's concession, or
Right.
you can get assistance from the seller. So
Right.
you don't have to have $20,000 in the bank.
Nope.
You don't have to have that big percentage down. There are assistance programs out there.
Right. Absolutely. There's a lot of assistance out there. Now, not everybody qualifies for it. I will tell you this, though, on the assistance programs, and just as my opinion, is that if you have the funds, if you have the ability to save the funds, you're better off.
Yeah.
Those programs are there and they're great, and we do them every single day. But most of them are repayable. You almost get unlike Hometown Heroes does not have a repayment, but it does when you sell the house, so you do have to pay it off. So as always, if you can come up with the 3.5% down, for example, on FHA, you're gonna be better off.
Yeah.
So if you can get a gift or something like that, we always are looking at can we do this first? Is there any way to get the money out your own way first? And if the answer is yes, great, we're going to go that way. And then those are our backups. You know what I mean? When that doesn't happen. So what do buyers need to understand that they don't understand, would you say?
How important inspections are for every aspect of purchasing a home.
Yeah.
Including your insurance, your mortgage, you personally understanding what you're getting into when you get into a home. I've had buyers try to pick which inspections they want, and I'm always saying, please get every inspection that they offer.
Get them all.
Yes.
Because who are they going to come back to afterward if something goes wrong? Yep,
it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I try to tell everybody, you know. I want you to walk into this home and love it and love the person who helped you get into it.
Right. Right. Yep. I hear you. Absolutely. What do you think about interest rates that scares people the most right now?
I think the last 5 years of seeing low interest rates, and then now they're not understanding. We're getting into a new season of buyers. We have a lot of first-time home buyers that I'm noticing, and they're seeing 6 and 7% rates and whatnot, and they're thinking that that's high because they're used to seeing 3%.
We have short memories.
Yes.
Yeah, short memories. Yeah.
So I think that is one of the biggest things.
Right. Right. And then, I mean, to add to that, a lot of people don't realize that it's negotiable.
Yes.
Right. So with the right structure of a contract, we can negotiate that rate down by as much as 2%.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden it's in the 5s or the low 6s.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, I can afford this. I can do this, So it's just starting that conversation. Would you say the media is helping or hurting our cause? I already know the answer.
I definitely say hurting at the moment.
I know. Shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up, please.
Definitely, please sit down and talk to a trusted agent or lender, someone that can give you personal knowledge and actually proof of what's going on.
Right. Right. What's one thing that you would never do if you were buying a house today?
I would never.
Never do. That would be bad.
Yeah, I would never go into it without inspections and talking to a lender about what my best options were.
Right.
I would always shop around for very good lenders, make sure that we're not just taking the first rate that we get.
Sure.
Not just taking our first option. And agents or, lenders all the way around.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about the people you work with that actually help get a transaction to closing. And this is what I think the general public really doesn't understand. It's not just a realtor or a lender or an insurance person. We have to, it takes all these people, right, to get a closing to the table. And so what would you say are your main people that, I know you love us, all right?
Yes.
So I thank you very much for that. I know you love us. But besides us, who are the other people who support you and help you get everything across the finish line, including your folks here at Coldwell Banker? You know what I mean? And so go ahead, shoot, let me know.
So definitely 100% my broker here, Rob Tessmer. He deals with me all the time. I'm always bringing something fun to him.
He was telling me about that earlier. He says you got some fun ones.
I don't think I've ever had anything that's just not interesting. So he's a lifesaver on a lot of it.
Cool.
Our office manager, Kansas, she's amazing. Also always answering our questions. But I use as many local people as I can, as far as inspectors, lenders, insurance companies. I try to make sure it's somebody here that knows where we are, what we're doing, and what's going on. Someone I know that's going to answer the phone when I call. So you guys, amazing. You've gotten things done for me that literally nobody else could. Inspectors, we have JD Inspection
We do the
Services.
easy ones too, just so you know.
Yeah. I don't have that.
You don't have any easy
You're
ones?
You're not going to get that from me. No, that's not
it's
possible.
All good. Yeah.
JD Inspection Services is here in Citrus County, and another, lifesaver.
That's your shout out?
Yes.
Shout out to JD?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
Give us a story about JD. What specifically is, like, what's a big one that he did that saved your butt or helped you out?
Anything. I've been able to call him, after hours. He's another one that doesn't just work 9 to 5.
Right.
I mean, he might, but if I call, thank you for answering.
Look, you got your business partners. I know when you call me, I don't care if it's 9 o'clock on a Thursday. If I'm sitting there scrolling TikTok, I'm picking up. Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't have one specific story for him, because I just had to call him, 2 weeks ago and get an explanation on an inspection, because we're trying to get things to the closing table, and he is able to give us his best advice on exactly what we need to do. So he's amazing. Cool. And then local lenders, there's 3 specifically that I like to use, you guys included. And then we have Roscoe Parsley, he's great. And then it's just a whole group.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there any like what makes somebody get on your list of a good partner? Like,
very good communication, and being able to explain things to me as well, because I learn something new all the time.
Right.
So somebody who can, communicate well with me, as well as explaining the process.
Right.
Don't just expect me to know it, because
Right. How many years in the business are you now?
6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been a long.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I made it past the 2-year mark.
Yeah. Once you get past that, you started. You've had all your bruises and bumps.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, communication is the number one thing. Answer the phone and be responsive.
Right. So we know the market's changing. It's not as easy as it used to be, right? Like, in all fairness, like 3 years ago, I mean, if you just had a badge that said you're a realtor, you're going to sell something.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I just saw a stat, actually, you might not have heard this one the other day. For the first quarter of this year, take a guess what percentage of realtors haven't closed a transaction yet for the first quarter.
Oh gosh.
Nationwide.
Oh, nationwide?
Nationwide. This is reported by the National Association of Realtors.
30, maybe?
92.
What?
Yep.
Oh my.
Nationwide, 92% of all realtors did not close a single deal in the first quarter of 25.
Wow.
Not one. Yep.
That's rough. That's hard.
Now, in fairness to our viewers, okay, real estate, there's a lot of people who get a real estate license and don't do much with it. All right. And especially in our lovely state of Florida, let me tell you a quick story about a lot of agents in Florida. And this is why it's so important to find a professional, hardworking agent like Jessica, who she's in it every day. All right. And is that a lot of people get down here to retire. They move into some community. Let's say it's more women than men. So this isn't sexist, but it tends to be more women than men. And their husband's a big golfer, and he's out there golfing 4 or 5 days a week. All right. And she's sitting around going, I don't golf. I don't play pickleball. I'm not an old fuddy-duddy who wants to sit around the pool and just talk about my neighbors. So guess what I'll do? I'll be a what?
A real estate
agent. Exactly. Yeah. So they go and they get the real estate license. We have 277,000 licensed agents in the state of Florida.
Everybody knows at least 3.
Exactly. But the thing is, there's a reason why 10% of the agents do 90% of the business, because there's the hustlers who are in it every day and they know how to get through all the issues and the problems and all the things that might have come up. And then there's a lot of people who are just kind of like, yeah, I did my one deal for the year.
Yeah.
Or I mean, some people, I've got one guy who was selling $1 million house, got his license just so he could not pay commissions. Yeah. I'm like, do you have a buyer's agent? No, I'm the agent. I'm like, really? Okay. How many deals did you close last year? Zero. I don't really do it. I just did it because I didn't want to have to pay commissions.
Sure.
I was like,
Okay.
he was bored and retired and had nothing better to do. I guess he wants to spend his money or
Yeah.
whatever. But,
Well,
I just thought that was kind of a funny little tidbit. What would you say your leadership style is? And I know you don't have some big, huge team, but I would say like you are the leader of your transactions, right? So like, what's your style? Like, what can people expect, to get from you when they're working with you?
I am professional in what I do, but I'm also very personable.
Mm-hmm.
I've become friends with a large majority of the people I've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So you can expect for me to sometimes show up in my farm clothes. If we're having a last minute thing, we've got to go to a showing, I will ask always first, is it okay that I'm in my house clothes? Because I've been down here with Donkey and the goats. And if you want to go now, that's what you got.
Right.
And always, I mean, the conversations that I have with people are not always business while we're doing,
Right.
our transaction,
Mm-hmm.
because I want to make sure that they're comfortable with me and
Right.
they trust me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The relationship matters, right? Yeah.
yes.
100%. So let's get into a little bit more of a less business, more fun talk about community. So I'd like to hear a community shout out to your favorite spots. So what are your favorite hangouts? Are restaurants, bars, bookstore, whatever, like,
Sure.
so give me some
Yeah.
shout outs, some businesses that we can
Um,
support here.
as far as bars, somewhere to go to have a couple drinks, we really like the Sidebar down here,
Mm-hmm.
downtown Inverness.
Okay.
It's a great place, little small place, but it's super fun to hang out at. I actually just started going to the Temptation Station in Inverness for coffee.
Okay.
They've got coffee. They've got the acai bowls. I think that's how you pronounce them.
What are those?
So honestly, not 100%
Well, what's
sure,
in it?
but it's like a yeah, it's like a fruit bowl that you have the acai fruit is
Yeah.
kind of like a smoothie that you pour in there. And
Oh, I
then
didn't know that.
yeah, and then you cover it with fresh fruits and granola and honey, and it's very, very, very good.
Okay, cool.
They've got awesome ones there. And then we also love the freezer in Homestead.
Oh yeah, I've been there once or twice.
We love that.
It's like the best dive bar.
Yes, yeah,
Like, it's been there forever.
yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and being here our whole lives, we've been kind of around a lot,
Yeah.
to different places, but
That's
those are
cool.
definitely top 3.
All right, I love it. Is there anybody specifically in the community that you think deserves like recognition or anything like that that you can think of? From I don't know, somebody who works at a clerk's office, somebody who just like that you deal with on a regular basis that helps you get things done, whether it's your business or personal or whatever. You know what I mean?
There's so many. We have a lot of amazing people in Citrus County. Other real estate agents, people at the county office. We have, Craig Dalton is our property appraiser, and he's very involved in the community.
That's
and
cool.
Someone that, you can reach out, if not him directly, to his office and get an answer for everything.
Nice.
So yeah, that's amazing.
Good.
I have very little bad to say about anybody in our community.
Nice. Is there any nonprofits or anything charities or anything that you personally support or just think are an amazing asset to the community?
Yes. Yeah. So we have the Family Resource Center. They're located in Hernando, and what they do is they help our low income or homeless community. They have a Christmas program that is one of the biggest that I've ever seen. That almost every business in the community in Citrus County gets gifts, and they go to that place for their Christmas program. It's all volunteer, so everything that's there, all the volunteers that go in, they wrap the presents, they distribute the presents, they make sure every child that is put into that program gets gifts for Christmas.
That's awesome.
They also have their clinic. It's a free clinic that they offer. They have a clothing store. They have it's like a grocery store setup. It's all free.
That's great.
And they're an amazing group of people. They do a lot for our community.
Yeah, the other one that I've supported before in the past that I think is pretty awesome over here, that's I think unique, not just for the whole state, is the Key Training Center.
Yes.
I mean, and for those of you who don't know, the Key Training Center is is basically a school for often people with Down syndrome and other learning type disabilities and things like that. And they give them and train them on key skills so they can be active working participants of the community.
Yep.
I've had clients with children who've gone through there. It's really amazing, you know. They help these people be very independent and give them a lot of pride, and that's been a really cool thing that I've personally supported as well, which is awesome.
That's been around for as long as I can remember.
As long as I've been here,
and they put these people into jobs, into, you know, at the grocery stores, or you know, wherever they can get them employment, and they get them housing in some cases where they can live, you know, on their own with assistance, and it's amazing.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, so Jess, this is a fun little one. So what is something that they just don't teach you in this business? You know, what's one truth that clients like probably don't really want to hear, but they need to hear, that you know, that you've experienced personally?
You should honestly, you should use a real estate agent. You should have that person there to support you, both with their suggestions for the legality of it. You know, I'm seeing a lot of people lately wanting to do the for sale by owners and wanting to represent themselves, and they don't understand everything that's in that contract makes a difference. And it can help you in the long run.
Oh yeah, I've seen people get totally burned writing their own contracts, just making stuff up on the go, and it's just like, no, it's a blow up your deal.
A lot of people they really don't understand the benefit to using real estate agents.
Right. I mean, especially in this market. I mean, it's not that. I mean, in fairness, 3 years ago, when everything on the brother, like, you could sell your house, you put it on the market for some absurd house price, and it would sell. But like this market now, good luck. Good luck. You know what? I would tell anybody, I'll call you back in 3 weeks. Let me know how it's going for you, bud. You know what I mean? Like, that's
to go along with what I was telling you earlier about the guy who told me I was a loser for reaching out. I actually offered him free advice, like as a for sale by owner, something that I like to do. If you want to do for sale by owner, that's great. I will help you, walk you through, you know, any questions that you have. If anybody doesn't buy your home, just send them my way. If they're looking for a home, I might have one for them. Because only one person's going to buy your house. That's advice from my broker as well.
No, it's good. You know? It's great advice.
So I was actually offering some free services there, and I was a loser.
All right. That's all right. We all got to be losers sometimes.
I know.
You should have sang that song to him. You know, I'm a loser, baby, but I don't you kill me. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll give you mine. Mine is people who think that Credit Karma is a true reflection of what their credit score is. That one drives me stink. Credit Karma says I got this. To the world, okay, Credit Karma on average is 20 to 30 points below your real credit score to a lender. I could get into a long dissertation as to why that is, but bottom line is it's a good guide to show you, like, yeah, everything's okay, or I got some collections to clean up or whatnot, but the scores themselves are not 100% accurate. So when you're going by that, if you want to be safe, I'd say whatever they say your score is, take about 20 to 30 points of it. That's the reality of what your score is. So
also, do not trust all of the websites with your home valuation on them.
Oh God, please, especially now.
I won't throw any names out, but
I will. Zillow, bullshit. Zillow is bullshit, okay? And I'll elaborate, but you go ahead and say what you want to say.
They're not always right, and sometimes very far off.
All right. So this is part of the class I'm going to teach for you guys, but I'm going to give you a little example. All right. So are we in a declining market right now in general?
Sure.
Okay. I'd say the whole state of Florida is in declining. Now, how far could be, you know, certain neighborhoods might be better than others and stuff like that, you know, but in general, the prices are coming down. Why are they coming down? Affordability, right?
Yep.
Okay. And so they're coming down because of affordability. Well, when you guys look at what your home value is, keep in mind that all those systems are based on what? History or the future? What is it? History or the future?
History.
The home prices are based on the history, right? Well, if we all acknowledge that prices are declining, does that mean the prices are going up or down?
I mean, down
right now, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look at that situation, and Zillow, or even when you do a CMA for somebody, it's based on historical numbers. you not only have to, in this market, to get your home sold, you have to price it according to what the history showed you. But at the same time, you need a plan for every 2 weeks to meet with that person on how much you need to reduce the price until you have somebody making offers.
Yep.
Okay. Because it's like, I'm going to make a little analogy, like when you go out in Crystal River. I'm sure you've been fishing in Crystal River, right? So for those of you who haven't been fishing in Crystal River, it drops 1 foot per mile in depth. For every mile you go, it drops 1 foot in depth.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it does, until you hit the shelf. Okay. And so the fishermen who go out there, especially in the summertime when the water's warm, you got to find where the fish are. Okay. And so what happens is you go out 50 miles and you drop your pole down, you drop your hook in your favorite red snapper fishing spot or whatever it might be, and nothing hits. So what do a good fisherman do? They go out 10 more miles to their next favorite spot and they drop it. Nothing hits. So then what have they do? They go out 10 more miles and they drop their hook, and boom, they cap out on their fish in like 15 minutes, and then they're headed back to shore. And the reason for that is because that time of year, there's certain the fish like the cooler water, so you got to go out far enough to where those fish are, and then all of a sudden you're hitting fish like crazy. And it's the same thing in real estate right now. When you're in a declining market like this, you've got to start with what you know is an intelligent price based on what the market told you, but also you need to reduce accordingly until the fish hit. And how do you know when the fish hit?
Yeah, you start getting phone calls.
You start getting calls, showings, and offers, right? So until you have calls, showings, and offers, you don't know where the fish are. And so that's what you need to acknowledge, really, I think, in this market, is not just, hey, here's the price we're going to put on it, and willy-nilly we'll reduce as we see fit. No, you actually have to have a plan for that. So anyway, that's just my own little piece of advice. What's one myth about real estate or money that just won't go away, that should go away, that you can think of? Like, what's one myth that just you hear constantly that just needs to go away, needs to die?
Oh no.
How about that you need like a 700 credit score to buy a house?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good one. On that side of it, you don't need a perfect credit score. There are options for stuff like that.
How about that the listing price, and especially in this market, isn't necessarily what you have to pay to be able to buy the house?
Oh yeah, no, everything is negotiable. I guess that would be a really good one on my end too. Just because you see that as the home price does not mean that that's what you have to pay for it.
Right, absolutely. Everything's negotiable.
Yes, everything is negotiable. Big one right now, commissions are 100% negotiable. Don't think that they're not. Always make sure that you talk through that with your agent.
Yeah, I would say that's true. I mean, in fairness though too, if I'm a seller, I'd rather my realtor help. If I got a buyer with a mortgage, I'd rather say, hey, look, we need to get that rate down so it's more affordable. So rather than me, the seller, get that money necessarily, let's say you want to kick in something to make it deal work, you give up a portion of your commission to get the interest rate down. That helps significantly more than if you just save the seller, $500, $1,000. You know what I mean? Like, so the rate matters more than the price right now. Very cool. What do clients do that hurts their home buying process? Like give me, and I know you've seen them all. So give me an example of something just it slows them down, costs them money. Give us a couple examples of that situation.
They open a new credit card in the middle of purchasing a home.
Or buy a car.
Or don't make a payment on something, miss a payment in that time frame. Those things.
Quit their job.
They go, oh yeah.
I've had people do that.
Get married. I've actually had one. Yeah.
Or don't tell us that they are married.
Yes.
Yeah, because in Florida that's a big deal, because you're when the title company finds out about it, you have to have their spouse sign off on it, and the spouse won't sign off on it. You can't buy a house.
Just went through something like that too. Someone telling us they wanted to sell their home. His name was the only one on the deed. So when we were going through it, he's signing the paperwork, and here comes the wife. I'm not selling my home. And we were complete because she was nowhere around. We didn't know.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it was not happening.
That's wild. Okay, let's get back to some real talk. Like, what's your biggest piece of advice for buyers right now? What you would say?
Do as much research as possible on who you're using during your home buying process, in all aspects. Don't just trust what one person tells you. There's a lot that goes into purchasing a home, making this purchase. Don't just trust the first person that you talk to.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah, I agree with that. But I would also add an asterisk to that. And the asterisk I would add is once you found someone who does know their stuff,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
be loyal to that person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I hate it when like we'll spend all this time, we structure everything for them. We gave them advice that nobody else gave them, and then they just jump ship to somebody else because the rate was like an eighth better.
Sure.
I would have matched it.
Yep.
Just I don't, you know what I mean? Like when we price up a transaction, like, yeah, we're competitive, you know, like same thing with you. It's like, okay, I went to this listing appointment. I told them all the stuff they had to do. I told them this, that, and the other thing. They took all my advice and then they listed for somebody else because they, you know, a half a point better on the commission.
Yep.
You know, it's like, come on.
And that's happened to me a couple of times. And then honestly, a good majority of the time I end up getting phone calls from them asking questions. Hey, my agent is doing this. And at that point I'm like, it's not that I don't want to help them. It's, you know, the ethical part of it. I'm not going to step in.
They were unethical to you.
Sure.
And that's the thing I like to tell people. Like, I'm going to say it straight up. Don't be a douchebag. You know, if you're going to waste somebody's time, I wouldn't say waste their time. You're going to take their time. You're going to take their advice. You're going to do all the things they tell you to do. And then you drop them like a bad habit because you think you can save $1,000. You're a jerk. You really are. Like, you seriously are. You should look at yourself in the mirror and just recognize you're an asshole. And like, it drives me freaking nuts. Like, just be an honorable person. If somebody treated you like that, how would you feel? You know what I mean? So like, respect the people who give you respect, who give you good advice, who give you their time, their energy, their expertise. And, you know, we do not make $1 unless we close a transaction on my side or on your side.
Yep, that goes back to
so
the
have some
myth.
Respect, you know. And maybe we need to say that more. Maybe we need to remind them, hey, I'm doing everything for you right now. All the advice, everything I'm giving you is 100% free unless you close a transaction with me. You know, and so I would just say, if you have one of those family members who's like that, tell them to stop being like that. You know, I know they won't, but anyway, that's my advice.
Yeah,
anyway.
that goes back to the myth. I guess a myth that about real estate, your agent is not getting paid until you close.
Right.
I mean, we could go through a 45 or 60-day close, and there's a mess up in there somewhere, and then that's you know, food off their table.
I had a guy, nice guy, but who, this just happened a couple months ago. We're all the way to closing, and we're days before the closing, and the guy ghosts out. The realtor, like, we thought he died. Like, we literally, the realtor, we sent the police for a wellness check to the guy's house. The realtor went to his house. Nobody's there. Like,
wow.
Yeah, it was just wacky. And the guy, like, it was his third contract because he got scared on the first two. And on the third one, we were almost to the end. And then all of a sudden, the guy just disappeared. Still haven't heard back from the guy. You know, he lost a $3,000 escrow too. Just just gone. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Yeah, it was just wild. Anyway, so I've got some fun rapid fire questions for you, Jess. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna get crazy. So, Jess, what was your first job ever?
Winn-Dixie in Inverness.
Winn-Dixie, and what did you do at Winn-Dixie?
I was a cashier and then customer service.
Cashier and customer service. Yep. Very cool. Yeah, I was a paper boy.
Oh. Yeah, I never did that.
Yeah, it's a job that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but hey, it's like 13, 14 years old. It's,
sure.
You know, 4:30 in the morning every day. Yep. You know, but what's your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
Oh, I really like Shameless.
Shameless.
Yeah.
What's Shameless about?
Tell
our viewers what is Shameless about.
Shameless is a Netflix TV show that is just about a big dysfunctional family.
Okay.
They're, you know,
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it.
They're on the poor side of things, and they have their dad, Frank. He's one of my favorite characters in the show. He's an absolute disaster. But they're just a big family.
That's cool. Nice, very good. What is the worst advice you ever got?
Get the student loans.
You hear that, young people?
Yeah. If you can do without, do it. Go for the scholarships. Don't just take the loans.
Yep. What's the best thing you've ever spent money on?
Oh, well, I think my current home that my husband and I built.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that we did this on, you know, with us and our kids, and it's definitely been our best investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the best way for me to get you? Text or phone call?
Text.
Text.
100%.
All right.
Text me.
You hear that, people? Text her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that's pretty much the whole world. I swear to
Yeah.
God. I think even my mother, I still text her. You know,
Yeah.
she's 70 years old. But it's funny. Uh, buyer or seller? Who's harder to work with? Buyer or seller?
It's making me in trouble. I don't
Or does it really
honestly.
depend on them?
Yeah, it really just depends on them. Sellers,
Mm-hmm.
you got to try to make them happy in every aspect of selling their home.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not be happy with their price. And then buyers, I had one buyer, love her to death, so happy for her. She got into her first home, but we looked at 41 houses.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What?
41
homes.
We did, but we found the one.
Nice.
We did it.
All right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. 41 homes. Were they
Yeah.
all in the same area?
For the most part.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So it wasn't
so
too
it
bad.
wasn't going all over the
Okay.
place. Yeah.
Well, yeah. If it keeps going the way it's going, you can show them 41 on the same street.
Yeah.
Just give me a one-word description of 2024. Just one word.
Crazy.
Crazy. I would
Mhm.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep. What if you had a walk-up song? Like a guy coming out of the NFL, coming out of the thing, running out, or onto, going into a boxing match. What would your walk-up song be?
Oh gosh. The song "Shot, Shot, Shot, Shots." that one.
I love it. Very cool. All right. What's the craziest request you've ever received from a client?
If I could pay for their moving truck.
If you could pay for their moving truck?
Yes.
You should pay for their moving truck.
If they needed their moving truck paid for. And it was about $1,000 for the moving truck.
Okay.
And that was how we were going to get the deal done.
Why would you need to pay for it?
That's just what they wanted.
Okay.
Mhm.
Everything's negotiable, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't ask, my mother always told me, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So
I just found a no button today at Target. I should have picked it up.
That's awesome. Your go-to local food spot?
Sauced hogs.
What?
Yes, sauced hogs. You've never heard of it?
Sauced what?
Hogs.
So it's like barbecue?
Yeah.
Sauced hogs, everyone.
Yes,
Sauced
it's in
hogs.
Hernando.
In Hernando.
We love it.
Yeah?
Yep. Kids eat free. I believe it's on Mondays.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. I'm going to have to check that out. I haven't been there.
Oh, I love it.
You're stuck on a deserted island. What are your three things that you would bring?
My phone.
Phone.
Can't live without
Okay,
it.
well, deserted island means no cell phone service, Jess.
Not necessarily. Starlink now,
All
right?
right.
Isn't that a thing?
Well, I guess if you had Oh, no, because now they have the sat phone thing on your iPhones.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
So, okay,
see?
I was wrong. You
Phone.
can bring your phone. It might save
Yeah.
your life. Okay.
And then
Two more.
I've got 2 kids, so I guess I could bring them both with me.
Okay. All right.
Can those
See,
count
I'm
as
thinking
one?
more like a survival thing if I'm on a desert island.
Oh gosh.
But
I feel like
you don't have to change your answer.
If
To
I'm
your
on
2
a
kids and your
deserted
phone.
island, just live the best while you can, because
You're probably not going to make it that long.
Yeah.
What about Wilson? Remember
Yeah.
the movie? Wilson.
I could do that. Yeah.
What do you wish more people would ask you?
I don't know. I guess, how are you today? Like, seriously, how are you? Not not just if passing by, hey, how are you doing? But how are you doing today? I think that's
general
something.
niceties that people
Yes.
forget.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that people kind of put on the wayside that there should be more of.
Now that's a loaded question if you ask it sincerely, because you might be stuck there for an hour and 45 minutes.
You might be, but maybe you needed it just as bad as they did.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm very big on the what is it? The burnt toast theory. I'm very big on that.
What's the burnt toast theory?
So there was somebody who was supposed to be at the Twin Towers that day, and his toast burnt. So he didn't go to work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Actually, one thing I saw was a long time ago was a really cool like YouTube short, and it was like a coffee shop, and they had bubbles over the people's heads in the videos, and like the person was being a jerk to the barista and blah blah blah, and the bubble pops up over the head that says, just found out his wife was cheating on him. And then there was like something else. It just had all these different interactions of people in the coffee shop. And what the whole premise of the video was, like, you don't know what that person's going through right now in their life. And so what you're seeing of them isn't necessarily the
Sure.
real them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just them in the moment,
Yeah.
you know? And so it was kind of just reminding you like, hey, take a step back, you know, and what you just said, kind of like saying sincerely, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And meaning it and wanting to actually know the answer. That's a real answer, you know, like it's how you break that ice, that ceiling with somebody. Well, that says a lot about you as an agent too, you know, because a lot of us, and I'm guilty of it too, you know, it's like, okay, pre-approved, good, yep, all right, go find a house, all right, next, you know, and we lose the humanity in it, you know.
And
so
that's my husband says a lot about me. You can't help everybody. You can't keep doing this, but I do, and I think that's what makes what makes me successful in what I do too.
That's cool. Let's see, biggest lesson you learned this year so far?
So far is to take the trips. I have always, take the trips, do the things. I've always been one that has pushed things off to the side. We'll do it later. In the last month and a half, we have lost 5 close family friends. And some suddenly, some expected, but it really just shows you, you know, take the trip. So I actually leave.
How short life is and
going to see my brother in Europe in about 8 days.
Nice.
And I'm
where in Europe?
He lives in Germany.
Okay, cool.
So we're gonna do some traveling while
that'd be
we're
awesome
there. Yeah.
Congratulations, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Love it. Yep. Yeah, I'm at that point too. Like my oldest is 17 and we graduating next year. Like I'm starting to go, holy crap, what happened? My kids are like getting big and they're gone, and it's like, you know, I need to like go on more walks with them and just talk, you know what I mean? Because before you know it, they're just not going to want to talk to me. They will, but you know what I'm saying.
When they know everything. And
what's the funniest thing a client ever said or did in a transaction? Like funny, not like just you know, like funny. Just wild. Can you think of anything like wild like that?
Off the top of my head right now, I can't. No, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. I'm actually trying to think of one myself. But
I do have a funny something that happened when I
Go
walked
ahead.
into a seller's home.
Tell it.
Recently,
let's be real. Let's talk about getting real here.
Big pink toy on the bathroom counter.
Ah,
they left it out.
Okay.
Left it there when we were going in. I was taking my buyers in, and there it was.
Yeah.
Just out in the open, and I was
nice.
Like, that, you know, we should have a discussion. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Jess, in closing, is there anything else that we haven't covered today that you want the market to know about you, your service, your goats, your donkey, your kids, your husband? Like, is there anything else that we need to air before we close up?
I don't think so. I think the biggest thing would be that I'm always available. I take my job very seriously. I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about everybody that I work with. And I mean, I'm ready. If you don't mind, sometimes a rooster in the background or some kids running around screaming, call me anytime.
Yeah. The real realtor.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good.
My phone is always open all the time.
I love it. Very good. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to do this with you today. It's our very first one.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I'm kind of an outlandish person. I appreciate you letting me be who I am, and I really appreciate you being who you are.
Yeah.
And so for all of our viewers, I just want to say that if you want to work with someone who cuts through all the nonsense, gets down to brass tacks, gives you straight answers, who's always going to get you the closing table when we promise you that we will, my team is very dedicated to doing that. I know Jessica as well. It's just about, look, you told us you want us to do something for you. We're going to do it. And once we get into it, we're going to drag you across the finish line. All right.
Kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming, and then you're going to thank us when we're done. Yes. All right. So we're always here to support you guys. So anyway, thank you all for watching very much, and we will see you on the next podcast. Bye.